Hey guys, my name's Iam, and welcome back to another FNAF AR video. Today I'm going to be doing a video on all of the animatronic encounters. This will include all of the sounds that they sort of make, and I'll try to include those in the video as well. And then the strategy that you should follow. And I have not encountered all of these myself. Some of them I've just watched Daco encounter. So some of this video footage is going to be from Daco, some of it's going to be from me. And yeah, so I'll credit him in the description. As always, Doc is also always an amazing guy. I mention him in every video. He's great. So, this will actually be, first I'll have an overview of every single animatronic, and I will do timestamps this time. I'm not in a rush this time, thank God. And then I'm also going to give you a little bit of an overview of the basic strategy to get a really high streak. And then I will get over, actually, information about Remnant, because I know I've collected data on each type of color and how much Remnant it gives you, and also how you lose it, how you gain it, all that sort of good stuff. So, we are going to start. It's basically, the animatronics are going to be from easiest to most difficult, pretty much. So the first one is Endo. Endo. The sound that he makes is a light robotic thumping noise. And I will insert that sound here. And the strategy for Endo is pretty simple. You find the static and you follow it. And he doesn't move around much. And he'll have an intense static noise when you directly look at him. Next is Freddy. The sounds that he makes include a heavy, slow thumping noise when he walks. He has deep voice lines. I would call them akin to the Random Encounters Freddy voice from their videos. Sometimes he plays this song from FNAF 1 that would happen at the end of the night when he run out of battery power. I'll insert a couple of these sounds I mentioned here. For the entire encounter with Freddy, there is light background music, so you can figure out if it's him straight out of the gate, basically, with that music. So the strategy for Freddy. You find a static, which you may need a flashlight. You might need a flashlight for all of these guys, and the higher your streak, the harder it'll get. I'll explain that later. Then you follow him. He's a pretty slow mover. And it kind of follows his walking sound. And again, it's really intense static when you directly look at him. Next is Bonnie. Now, Bonnie and Chica are very similar, and you'll want to pay attention to both of these because of how similar they are. So Bonnie. Bonnie's walking sound is a robotic thumping noise. It's heavier than Endo, but it's lighter than Freddy's. You'll hear a groaning noise, which is, it's similar, it's the same sound effects as Chica's groaning noises, but it has more of an echoing sound. And once I get through Bonnie and Chica, I will let you listen to a comparison of those sounds. In Bonnie's encounter, the entire encounter has light background music as well, sort of like Freddy, but instead of like the sort of kind of happy-ish kind of music that Freddy has, it's like metallic sort of noises that are happening in the background. The strategy for Bonnie is to listen/look for static. Bonnie's also a bit bigger, like Freddy, so static is pretty easy to see. And then follow Bonnie. And Bonnie is a bit quicker than Freddy when he walks. Next is Chica. Chica, when she walks, she does like a quick thumping walk. Kind of like walking on metal or wood. And then she also makes a groaning noise, which was exactly the same sound effects as Bonnie. But instead of having sort of an echo that Bonnie has, it's just a straight up sound. So it sounds like it'll be just like right in your ear if you're wearing headphones. She also makes a lip smacking noise, which I have yet to catch on video. And I don't think, I've never heard Daco catching on video either, or Fusion for that matter. Yeah, it's a lip smacking noise, almost like eating. I've only heard it when I had shown the flashlight on her, and then she like kind of ran around a bit. It only happens on occasion, and I don't really know why yet at this point.
What's that noise?
So the strategy for Chica is basically the same as Bonnie. Listen for the static, and it's actually harder to see than Freddy's as well because she's smaller, and follow the walking noise. And she walks quickly, similar to Bonnie. Now, for Bonnie and Chica, I will insert the sound clips here that I took from one of Daco's videos, actually. So the first one is Chica. It has no sort of echo, none of that stuff. And then Bonnie's has sort of like an echo filter. So I'll play those now.
Now, see there? Hopefully it's somebody different.
Next is BB, he seems to be kind of an Easter egg. I haven't really seen him around. I have not encountered him at all when I've played. Sounds he makes kind of just balloon noises, like blowing up a balloon, just weird random things like that. And I don't think he really has a walking sound. He just makes those weird noises. And he also has his voice lines, which are kind of FNAF 2-esque. I think it is probably straight from FNAF 2, actually.
Hello?
And the strategy with BB is conserve your battery. Daco's encounter with BB was actually over 2 minutes long. The longest encounter I have had was just over 1 minute long, and something I'd mentioned before is that the longer the encounter, the laggier it gets, which is unfortunate, but it's true. So conserve your battery when you get BB. He's short, I would say about half the height of the other animatronics, or even shorter. He's very, very short. But once you see his static, he's pretty prominent. Next is Foxy. The sound he makes is a very quick walk. It's similar to kind of walking on metal. I think it's kind of like how the Valve games sound. I'll insert that here.
Avasti, your time is just about to run out.
And then he has sort of his generic pirate voice lines, as usual. I think the most recent game that had voice lines that were done by that voice actor were FNAF VR, for the Foxy shoot the targets minigame sort of thing. The strategy with Foxy is he's a quick walker, just like his walk cycle sound suggests. He darts from place to place. As we've learned from game 1 up until now, Foxy likes to run. The flashlight is a must if you lose him. He has less static, similar to the next two animatronics I'm going to bring up. So your flashlight, you need to use it. You can, on occasion, stop using it. I wouldn't recommend it because if you lose him, it might be difficult to find him again. Next is Baby. Now, her walking sound is particularly scary to me. I don't know why. Her walking sound is a distant yet solid thud. It's kind of scary on its own. She sounds huge, like even bigger than Freddy. I'll insert that here.
Looks like something bad is about to happen.
And then she has baby voice lines, which are akin to FNAF 5's voice lines. Now the strategy for Baby is that her cloaking static is also very faint, similar to Foxy and Springtrap. It's nearly invisible even with the flashlight, so as I mentioned before, for the characters who have less static, you're going to want to listen more. Listening is key. If you lose an animatronic, no matter which one it is, listen. Because you'll hear a faint buzzing noise the closer you are to them. The next one is Springtrap. And I want to preface this with, I wrote this sort of notepad, note list thing on each animatronic, doing my own research. This was before Daco, he had uploaded a video explaining how to defeat Springtrap. Okay, so he uploaded this video, and before that, I had started researching each animatronic. And I had made a theory of my own about how to deal with Springtrap. But I couldn't test it out because I am a poor bitch, and I can't afford to just buy lures for these guys. Fortunately, Daco did confirm what my guess was. So yeah, I just want to preface this with, like, I had guessed this before we had confirmed it. But thank you to Daco so much for explaining this, because again, it's important to know every single animatronic. So, Springtrap. The sounds he makes. Wow, he makes some really weird sounds. There's a rather quiet limping sound he makes. It's like a thump sort of thing. And he even makes like a slight squelching noise. You'll hear it. I'll insert it here. This is probably from Daco's video.
Let's see how many times you can be pulled apart and put back together again.
And then I wrote down I'm Batman-esque voice lines. Like, I'm Batman. Like, those sorts of things. You know how Springtrap sounds. The strategy for Springtrap. He has less visual static, as usual. Cloaking static. He does use visual static to his advantage. The white static tactic is quite frequent with him. And I'll explain that tactic later on because all animatronics will start to use it when you get to higher streaks. Yeah. Flashlight may be necessary with Springtrap because, again, he has, like, no static. He moves at kind of a rapid pace, so it will be hard to keep track of him. Realistically, if you get Springtrap, your streak may be over, at least in the flashlight aspect, because you're going to have to use your flashlight for him. Again, listen for the increased buzzing noise when you face him, because that signals where he is. He may perform constant hallucination attacks. Now this is information that I had sort of guessed before Daco confirmed it. So he performs a constant hallucination attacks. I think Daco called him something different. He seems to attack if you lose track of him at all. I don't think that's true at this point, because this next point. He attacks twice in a row, is what I said. Maybe looking away at red eyes and stare at white. Now this is what Daco confirmed after I'd written it down, which is very good. So basically the idea is to constantly keep track of Springtrap, but when you see that he has red eyes, look away. And immediately, once you do that and the hallucination's gone, try and find him as quick as possible, because you never know if the eyes are going to be white or red. If they're white eyes, you stare at him. Now, something totally different is Shadow Bonnie. And Shadow Bonnie, I explained in the last video, but you encounter him by basically going into the Remnant mode and then gathering up a crap ton, probably like, 10 different Shadow Orbs. So the sound that Bonnie makes is, there's like a sort of like a flashing sound when he appears. There's a faint buzzing noise in his direction, so when you face him, you'll hear like a buzzing. Strategy for Shadow Bonnie is find Shadow Bonnie and just hold the flashlight on him. It's really simple, really effective, and it adds +1 to your streak, so that is very nice. Repeat encounters over a short period of time will increase his difficulty, so don't encounter Shadow Bonnie too often, or else he'll become very difficult and most likely will break your streak. If he's getting too close, this is an interesting fact. If he's getting too close, you can physically back away from Shadow Bonnie in real life, which is similar to the physical interactions you can have with Remnant Orbs and the Shadow Orbs, which I'll explain that later. Now, Plushtrap is an interesting one. I have not encountered BB. He's kind of an Easter egg. And Plushtrap, I don't know if anyone has encountered. But he is in the launch trailer, and I realized that the last video I made, he is in that image that I kept showing, that showed like a bunch of animatronics in like an open like alleyway. I'll put that back up on the screen right here and kind of point him out for you. So, pretty certain Plushtrap's in the game. He's probably a very hard encounter. I assume that if you have a Springtrap lure, you might accidentally at some point encounter Plushtrap instead. Now, that's just my idea. I don't know exactly. The strategy for him, I have no idea. I'm unsure because I don't know if anyone's encountered him before. All I know is that he's likely small, very similar to BB, and I would assume that just like Springtrap, he runs around a lot. Just like Foxy, he runs around a lot. And his static is probably not a lot. So he's probably going to be pretty difficult if he's in the game yet. Still don't know. But yeah, if you get him, good luck. Hopefully you're recording a video. Thoughts and prayers? There you go. Part 2. This is a strategy on how to get a high streak. I do have a couple little subpoints here. I have Remnant, your flashlight, encounters, streaks, and cheating. Ooh, this is gonna be a fun one. Okay. We'll go through this one like pretty quick, except for the flashlight bit. So part 1, Remnant. Gather as much as you can, as much as possible. Encounter Shadow Bonnie on occasion, on purpose. Now, I say this because Shadow Bonnie's predictable. You know that all you have to do is look for him and shine the flashlight. But don't do it too often because, again, he gets harder the more you encounter him. So just do it on occasion as you try to get a higher streak. Part 2 is your flashlight. This is a big, huge part because the only way to get your flashlight back is to wait unless you buy a battery. But that takes Faz-coins, which is, unfortunately, you can only get Faz-coins by buying them with real-life money. So, in general with the animatronics and conserving your flashlight battery, use the flashlight to find the most intense point of static, and then turn your flashlight off. The most intense point of static is where they are at. And once the flashlight is off, pay attention to how wavy the residual static is, because you want to keep that amount of wavy static. You want it to be as wavy as possible with the flashlight off. Because that's where the animatronic is where the static's most wavy. And if you can figure this out and track them without the flashlight, that is a huge advantage to you. Because all you have to do is shock them at that point. You don't need to use your battery. And if you only shock animatronics, instead of using any of your flashlight battery, you can encounter 10 animatronics without any issues, without having to recharge any flashlight. So that's a huge advantage if you can do that. Again, if you need to recharge, you can get a flashlight battery, but you can only get those with real-life money. Something we have found out. If you don't want to buy batteries, you can't buy batteries, that sort of thing, you can, which I've tested this, we had talked about it in the comments, you can completely exit out of the game, wait a few seconds, and then re-enter the game for partial to full battery recharge. Now this means like you tab out of the game, swipe up, exit completely, get it out of your everything, and then re-enter all the way. A few different notes. If you try to do this, if you try to close the game while in an encounter, your streak does reset. So try to avoid that. If you leave while an animatronic is doing that exclamation point, which I did one time, not trying to test it, I just did by accident. The animatronic that had the exclamation point will ring the doorbell once you re-enter the game. Again, be careful with this exiting and re-entering strategy because we think it can backfire and reset your streak. So I would basically, again, just be careful with it. Okay, so apparently point 3 I didn't need. Point 3 was about the animatronics, and I just said all that before. So point 3 is now streaks. The higher your current streak is, as well as your record streak, the harder all animatronics get, including Endo, including all the animatronics. I've said this before, but it's important to remind yourself about this. My record streak is a 7. I had a current streak of 0 today when I was testing out, basically trying to capture all of the animatronic sounds. I was at a streak 0, and I got an Endo first. And I hadn't played in a couple days, so I'm a little rusty. And the animatronic, the Endo, got me because he did a hallucination attack. And I was not prepared, because I forgot that I have a streak 7, which means the entire game is bumped up in difficulty for me. Difficulty can be reduced by increasing your Remnant level, which is why in point 1, I'm like, get Remnant. You need Remnant. And I'm not exactly certain, but we think that the Remnant that you have at one point in time can help defend you against animatronics. I'm not sure how effective that is, but I do know that you definitely get an increase in easiness when you level up your Remnant. The difficulty increases include more fake-outs, more hallucinations, more erratic walking, a shorter running distance, attacks happening more often, and white static, which this is something that Springtrap automatically always does, but the other ones don't do until you're at a higher streak. For white static, all you do is shake the camera. And I actually had, I think it was an Endo, he came running at me right as I had some white static, so I had to quickly shake the camera while pressing on the shock button, and I got him, which is pretty nice. I think I caught it on video. If I did, it's in here right now. It's cool. And Shadow Bonnie's likely also more difficult at higher streaks, but again, you can actually back away from him physically in real life, so it shouldn't be too difficult. Number 4 is cheating, which is an interesting topic because I haven't been playing the game really in the past couple of days. I've been just kind of making videos, working on gathering information. I've still been trying to dig into the game files. Nothing really interesting yet. Maybe there will be someday. But I have been paying attention to the streaks. The highest streak was 17. And a couple people have gotten to 17 now, which is great. I thought I could get to 20 if I tried hard enough, and I probably could. But this game's giving me a couple nightmares, not gonna lie, so I haven't played much. However, in the past day, there is a person who has gotten to a streak 42. As I'm making this video, they're at a streak 42. Now, they're at a streak 42. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, it was either last night or yesterday morning, they were at like a streak like 20 something. I took screenshots as it happened, and I thought this was weird. So I'm not sure if they were using an exploit or if they found something out. Realistically, I think that 42 is too much. I think the difficulty, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it should be possible. The person hasn't uploaded to YouTube, and actually, the funny thing is that they had just the regular nickname, and then they changed it to their nickname, YT. So I assume they intend on uploading a YouTube video, but until they do, all I can assume is that they're cheating. So, all I know is don't use exploits or cheats, because that's kind of stupid. Although the flashlight thing is kind of a cheat, and it may be patched soon. I assume it will be. But again, people don't want to buy flashlights. If you could use parts to buy flashlight batteries, I would be so thankful. I don't care if one flashlight battery is 500 parts. Please, Olympics, I would love you. And the last thing is Remnant. I have learned much more about Remnant, and thank you guys in the comments for helping me with this as well. So, you can walk around in space to collect Remnant. You can do this. You can, for example, you can use your flashlight, pull the shadow orbs towards you, and then walk around the shadow orbs and collect the Remnant. Easy peasy. And I also figured out the amount of Remnant gained per color In general, the rule of thumb is that the warmer the color, the more remnant you get. If you lose an encounter, you lose remnant, which everyone knows. Something I didn't know until I started tinkering was that if you skip an encounter, you lose remnant too. And what I actually was doing was just collecting remnant and putting it into Freddy immediately. I didn't intend on working on my streak today. I just kind of was wondering about how remnant would work with animatronics. So I put, I think 150, it was like around 150 remnant in Freddy. And I don't know how much, how many parts he's going to get with the added remnant, but we'll see. Here is actually the remnant. So my only thing about the remnant is that I recorded all the remnant that I was gathering to get data, to collect data for this information that I'm about to tell you. I'd stopped recording for a while because I was like, well, I'm going to just try and get to 250 overall collected remnant because I wanted to level up and see what the next level was for remnant. And then I got a rainbow sphere. And I was like, what the fuck is this? I grabbed it, gave me 20 remnant. I'm like, oh, that's cool, but I wasn't recording. So I start the recording. I'll have the video here. I start the recording, and then like 10 seconds later, I get another rainbow. Now, this rainbow remnant orb, they are larger. They pulse in like a rainbowish sort of color. And they give you 20 remnant each. And they're very rare because I've never gotten one before this. And then somehow, luckily, I'd gotten 2 in a row. I got it on video. Thank God. It's really cool looking. The rainbow orbs give you 20. The orange orbs give you 9. And also, I noticed that the orange ones, they kind of like to orbit. I don't know why. They just kind of go in a circle. The red remnant orbs give you 4 remnant. The magenta orbs, they're kind of like a pinkish purplish, they give you 2 remnant. The blue gives you 2 remnant. The green orbs give you 1 remnant. And the white orbs give you 1 remnant. So yeah, basically the warmer colors, orange, red, magenta, purple, whatever, those colors give you more. And also, something that I found out that you can do is that if you have the shadow bordering around your screen, you can basically just sit there for a minute and chillax, and it'll go away. Or you can exit that screen and sit on your map, and it'll go away. It might take a minute, but yeah, it goes away. So all you really have to do, if you just want to collect remnant, is get a radio jammer. What I didn't know is that a radio jammer lasts, I think the radio jammer? Yeah, the radio jammer is 2 hours. Which is a very long time. And apparently the transponder is 2.5 hours. Now, somehow I happened to break my transponder. It didn't go down in seconds. I tried exiting the app and re-entering. It wouldn't go down in seconds. It went down by like 2 seconds in like 2 minutes. I don't know if it's still gonna be like that when I come back on the app. I have no idea. Actually, my final point that I have is the number of animatronics on your map. Now, people are thinking that the more workshop animatronics you had out, the more animatronics you would actually get on your map, but that, as far as I've noticed, is not true. So, when I had the radio jammer activated, the animatronics, I didn't know if it would stop all the animatronics or just sometimes stop them, you never know. But they stop the animatronics from attacking you completely. They kind of just wander around you. And the most that I've seen on the map at one time is 4. It didn't matter if I had my Endo out. It didn't matter if I had Freddy out as well. It didn't matter if I had nobody out. The most that you can have on the map is 4. If you're constantly taking attacks and you're just like waiting for it to recharge and stuff, you'll have 1 come and attack you at a time, really. So it basically seems like encounter amounts are just entirely random. So yeah, that's all I had for this video. I hope this does help people. Hopefully people can get to much higher streaks with some of this information. And I know some of these characters I have not encountered myself. This information may not be completely accurate. Again, every animatronic gets way more erratic the higher your streak goes, so it's going to be very difficult. Just be mindful of how each and every animatronic sounds. And it's much easier. All you really need to do is get a transponder to know what the animatronics are before they attack you. Because once you know which one it is, you just need to know kind of how they move, how they function, and it's really as easy as that. So thank you guys so much for watching. And I don't really expect to be uploading many videos for FNAF AR, at least for the near future. I'm kind of waiting for new updates. I know Illumix said in their email that they're going to have some new special gifts and stuff that they're going to be rolling out. Time continues, and as the launch moves forward, happy holidays and stuff, I guess. And yeah, we'll see you next time.